Hi, everyone, and welcome to our fourth webinar. Today, we will cover a brief overview on what a main controller module is and its features, the different types of main controller modules, how to perform a replacement, and where to find more settings and troubleshooting information. The field replaceable controller module, that is also known as a main controller module, is available in our Monitored Pro, Switched and Switched Pro PDU unit. Think of this as the brains of the PDU. And depending on the PDU's configuration, if it's vertical or horizontal, the MCM will also be either vertical or horizontal for easier management. The MCM is going to be responsible for any configuration information. It will manage configuration information. And this is essential for specific settings that may be required or even for any troubleshooting that needs to be performed. The MCM also holds information about the PDU name and its description, the configuration ID assigned to the PDU, its IP address, the firmware version, and any other settings that are related to the functionalities of the PDU. It's important to note that any user login, uptime, and SD card details will be saved in it as well. So where does the MCM save all of this information? The main controller module uses an SD card to hold the PDU's configuration in the event of a failure or if it gets damaged. The good news is that the information in the SD card can be transferred to a new controller module when replaced properly without losing any essential information. Another important note or fact is that there are different types of MCMs depending on how old the PDU is. Our legacy PDUs will have MCM1s, MCM2s, MCM3s. Our newer eConnect PDUs will have MCM4s, which are the only ones that are field replaceable. To confirm which one you have, you will look for where it says eConnect Controller 4 at the top of the field replaceable MCM. The main controller module is also designed to manage many of our essential eConnect PDU features. To do this, it uses multiple components as the ones shown here on the slide. We have the auxiliary ports. These can be used to enable our electronic smart locks for the cabinet, a micro USB connection, an Ethernet port that will support IPv6, IPv4, and the SNMP, a serial connection port for CLI connection, USB ports that can be used to connect temperature and humidity sensors, and the USB can also be used to perform firmware version upgrades locally on the PDU. It will also have the secure array in and out ports to connect the PDUs. It will have a status LED to indicate critical alarms or warnings. And for vertical PDUs specifically, it will include the LCD display where you can manage these and other settings. Now let's take a look at the different types of MCM layouts. The vertical MCM, as you can see, will have all of the features we just mentioned and the LCD display. On the other hand, the horizontal MCM will not have the LCD display, but it will have the ability to enable all the other capabilities that we just covered. Notice how the horizontal is more compact in its layout, and the features are set very differently compared to the vertical controller module. To access the horizontal controller module settings, you will need to use CLI or the web GUI to make any changes. Now let's review how to make a replacement, how to perform a replacement of a field replaceable main controller module. The first step is to make sure to disconnect power from the PDU to avoid the risk of electric static discharge that could damage the MCM. This is a very essential step. The next thing you will do is to unscrew the hold-down screws with the T10 driver. On vertical PDUs, removing the controller module will require pivoting the controller away from the PDU, meaning it needs to be lifted on the end that has the screw. Also, make sure not to create tension where the connected rib and cable is, and then you can safely disconnect the CAN bus connector. On a horizontal PDU, it will be simpler since there are two screws and the controller can be gently slid out from the PDU chassis. And after that, you can proceed to disconnect the CAN bus connector. When the CAN bus connector is removed, this is when it's safe to completely remove the controller module. The next important step is to properly swap the SD card into the new main module controller. To do this, remove the SD card by pressing on it. You'll hear a slight click sound to indicate it's loose, and you will visually see the SD card come out. Then you can install in the new controller module and press until you hear a click sound and visually confirm it's been inserted. You can double check by shifting the controller a bit to notice that it doesn't fall off. Now it's safe to reconnect the CAN bus connector to the new controller and make sure to adjust the cable with your finger so it goes in the slot. Finally, set the MCM back into the PDU chassis by holding it down and placing the screw or screws back. To demonstrate this, we have prepared a few videos, some mock videos, and first we will show the horizontal. So in this one, we have two screws. We're using the T10 driver. And this one is going to come out a lot easier compared to a vertical controller module. Here we disconnect the CAN bus connector. Insert the SD card. And there you go. That is for the horizontal controller module. And this one is going to be the eConnect controller 4. And now this is the vertical controller module. This one will only have one screw. This is the part where we pivot and lift it and disconnect the CAN bus connector. And again, this is just an overview of how to manage and replace a main controller module. There's a lot of great information you can review in our user manual, and we're sharing here some of the pages that are very helpful for replacement and troubleshooting needs. So on pages 62 to 63, any replacement information will be available there, and pages 5 to 10, 23 to 24, 59 to 60 will have information on settings, access of the main controller module, and also troubleshooting information.